Well, let's get much more on this huge story then. Before we talk about the night's two Premier League games, Anton Ferdinand, we're watching West Ham against Newcastle. Clinton Morrison, we're watching Manchester United against Brentford. Good evening to both of you. Never a quiet day at Chelsea this season, Clinton.
No, never a quiet day, and never a quiet day here. I had to rush to get here. So if I'm a bit hot, you can see why. I was upstairs just chilling. But
Teach you to be late, won't it?
No, I was here on time. I was here at 6:30. No, but going back to Frank Lampard, you saw him in the stands watching the game, so you knew something was. You wouldn't just go and watch the game, Frank Lampard, after leaving Chelsea a few years ago. I think, see, for me, you sack Potter. I don't think they really wanted to sack Potter because they've got no identity of where they're going. Frank Lampard, yeah, he knows the club inside out. So for a temporary basis, I can understand why, because Bruno came in with Graham Potter. So I always think it's strange when one of your coaching staff stays on. With Frank Lampard, I think short-term fix, I think it's a good appointment for Chelsea because he knows the club inside out. Surprised, like, there's other names out there that they could have had a look at, but I think they're not going to make a big appointment until the summer. So for a short-term fix, I think it's a good appointment to bring Frank Lampard back in.
When you look at it, Anton, 4 points, 11 points off the top four, 5 points off a potential Europa League place, a Conference League place. Is there a little bit of an acceptance maybe from Chelsea that, look, we forget this season, Frank Lampard just guides us through to the summer and we're working behind the scenes, whether it might be Luis Enrique, whether it's Pochettino, Nagelsmann, they can have a look at this squad, they can try and shape it away from the glare of having to play fixtures, and Lampard is just a hand on the wheel for the next couple of months.
Yeah, I think also it could be damage limitations in terms of their relationship with the fans. You know, to bring a legend back in Frank Lampard, someone who's, you know, their greatest goal scorer, you know, who the fans love, I think it could be one of those where they're bringing him back, just try and get the fans back on side a little bit before they make another appointment in the summer. Frank Lampard, knowing him, he won't be going into this lightly. He won't be going just thinking about I'm just there till the summer. He'll be wanting the job again. You know, he'll be going there with more experience than he did last time. You know, and not just that. I think he knows the club better than most people. You know, and knows the way the Chelsea fans want.
Do you think it's a very different club, though, from when he was there, given that the change in ownership? We've seen how different Chelsea have operated in terms of recruitment, that it might be a lot different to the Chelsea that Frank Lampard was sacked from.
Yeah, it is massively different. But if there's anyone who can deal with big egos and big players, I'm sure it would be Frank. You know, he goes in there. The difference is Graham Potter was going in there. Some players might not have known who he was. Some players might have been, OK, the Brighton manager, but what's he done? Because some players think like that. Whereas when Frank Lampard walks in the door, immediately there's respect because of what he's done in the game. You know, and I think, no disrespect to Graham Potter or Brighton, because it's Brighton before, but sometimes that carries that little bit more weight when you're somebody who's been there, done it as a player, and your worldwide reputation is there for everyone to see.
I mean, if he does come back, I wonder, what do you think success looks like just for that short period of time? Is it a definite yes, firstly? And if he does come back to the end of the season, what does success look like for Lampard? To
be fair, Chelsea have struggled. So what he can only go in there, Frank can only improve them. They've been terrible, to be fair. All the signings that they've made at that football club is meant to improve that football club. For me, Chelsea have gone backwards. I've said it all along. I thought they might have stuck with Graham Potter to the summer and then made a decision, because you know what, they've got a big Champions League game against Real Madrid. So, but Frank knows the club, so I think the owner's clever and he gets on with the fans. He's a legend at that football club. So to bring Frank in and work, as Anton said, working with better players, because they have strength in that squad, and the likes of N'Golo Kante back, who was outstanding yesterday. You would have never thought he'd been out for 7 months, because I thought he'd run the show, to be fair. He was unbelievable, to be fair. So, yeah, it's a strange one. But I'm happy for Frank that he's back in football. But that just goes to show me that Chelsea didn't have a plan in mind to sack Graham Potter. I just think it was basically the fans were unhappy. They never wanted Tuchel to go. So I thought that was a strange one when Tuchel went. We all said Graham Potter deserved a chance. He was brilliant at Brighton. I do think he deserved a chance. Maybe the job at Chelsea was just a bit too big for him at the moment. And it's difficult because you look at it and you say, where's his next job going to be? Graham Potter will get another job. But Frank Lampard, I think, good young manager, deserves his chance again, and hopefully he can grab it with both hands.
When you look at his record at Chelsea, Anton, and I mentioned the fact that he took them into the Champions League in that first season, what those numbers don't tell you is that for that first season he was working under a transfer embargo, and he gave the opportunity to the likes of Mason Mount and Tammy Abraham, and that was a big tick in the box of Lampard, even though eventually he ended up losing his job, as everyone does at Chelsea after a while.
That tells you he improved players. He's a coach, you know, and he can coach players. That's what that tells you. Because to bring young players into a squad and into a team like Chelsea, and to do as well as he did in that period of being under an embargo, tells you how good of a coach he actually is, you know, and his coaching staff around him. But I think it's a win-win for Frank Lampard. You know, he got sacked by Chelsea. People were saying, where does he go from here? You know, he's got 10 almost like free hits in terms of pressure, you know, to go and do really well. And then all of a sudden, the dynamics for him could change. At the end of the season, people could be going, is he going to get the Chelsea job again? Or he's done well enough in the last 10 games to warrant another Premier League job. You know, so I think for Frank Lampard, it's a win-win.
I mean, is he going to want to take it on a temporary basis? That's my first thought.
No, I don't think. I think he will have to because of the situation that Chelsea are in and the managers that could be up for grabs in the summer. You know, I think that the ownership will be looking at that, but they don't want to rush into a decision based on obviously what's happening this year. But knowing Frank Lampard, the way that he's a person, how determined, how driven he is, he'll be going into this thinking, okay, it's temporary. I don't really want it as temporary, but it's a win-win for me. I go in there, I do well, I'm back on the map. But better yet, I might get the Chelsea job again.
Do you think that this is a decision that the Chelsea board have made proactively, Clinton, in terms of this interim manager, or is it that they're actually responding to maybe some of their top targets saying, do you know what, I'm not going to touch this till the summer, I'm not getting involved for 10 games now, I'll have a look at the squad from a way back and then come the 1st of July, I'll take it and it'll be my team?
Yeah, 100%. I don't think Frank Lampard, and you'll know that he wasn't the number one choice. I think there's a lot of people probably they had out there who they were interested in. The likes of Nagelsmann, he's out of a job, but probably he wants to wait at the moment and don't want to commit himself to anyone because he knows there's other jobs on the line. So just have to wait and see. Listen, let me tell you something about Chelsea. They haven't had the best of the season. It's a big football club. It's an owner that's really ambitious. So if Frank Lampard goes in there and Anton's correct and does a brilliant job, why can he not get the job come the end of the season? Maybe he's not their number one target now, but he's got it for 10 games. He's got 10 cup finals, and if he does well, you just never know. Because let me tell you, a lot of Chelsea fans were disappointed he got the sack because he's how much of a legend he was at that football club. They thought he was harshly treated, and they were disappointed. He went to Everton. Yeah, we know it didn't work out at Everton, but he done well when he did keep them up in the Premier League. It was a hard job that he did, and he done ever so well. So it's a big job for Frank Lampard. I wish him well. Do
you not think though, Clint, like from a different perspective, if you was to get a manager in now who you really want, they've got 10 games to actually assess the squad.
Yeah.
You know, I would look at it like that as an owner. I'd be looking at it going, let me give it to someone that I really want. Let them assess this squad for the next 10 games. And then let's go into the summer with a real plan of action.
But the managers might not want to do that. They might think, I don't want this mishmash for 10 games where I could lose 5 and then suddenly I'm all under pressure, but I'm quite happy to take it in June or July.
Of course, but if it's spoken about and things are put out in the right way, where it is said the next 10 games really is to
get a feel for it.
Get a feel for it, look at the squad, and that's vocally put out there in interviews. I think that'll be the best way to go. I think that'll be the smartest way to go, is go in there and go, I'm going to look at it, this is what it is, 10 games, players are under pressure, you better make sure that you're good enough to make sure that you're in my plans for next season. If not, you're out the door. And I think that for a club of Chelsea's stature, I think that would have been the best way to go.
Can Frank Lampard win the Champions League for Chelsea, Clinton?
Let me tell you something, even if they... No, you know what? I can't say. I was going to just write Chelsea off completely. When Tuchel came in, no one thought Chelsea could win the Champions League. He's got the squad to go and
Roberto Di Matteo won the Champions League.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
He definitely has got the squad to do it. The worst thing is he's got Real Madrid, who people can say they're not doing well in La Liga. What Real Madrid do is they turn up in the Champions League and they're serial winners. But you know what? You overcome that. Then you've got Man City and Bayern Munich. You're going to have to do it the hard way. But why can't Chelsea go and do it? I'm not writing Chelsea off. I think they've got a great opportunity because, as I said earlier, it's a free hit for Frank Lampard. Imagine if he goes and wins the Champions League. What happens then? It's a different conversation at the end of the season.